Hello, everybody. I'd like to invite you to listen to this interview with Pauline Harley, career change coach and consultant. Pauline, a few weeks ago or last week, you posted a really interesting video about how people can adapt their mindset to learning something new. And what I'd like to do is to ask you to expand on that a bit, because we've all been completely sideswiped by this Corona-19 virus, and we're slowly adapting. We have been sideswiped by so much change, and now we might have to learn how to do new ways of working, new ways of marketing, new ways of meeting people, new ways of promoting our business. So have you any tips about how people can expand their mindset, or think a little bit differently about embracing learning new techniques moving forward in their business?
Well, I think the most important point is assessing the real risk to you at the moment if you don't learn something new on a professional basis, on a human basis, and knowing why it's so important to you at this time. I know there's a lot of pressure on people at the moment to learn a lot and a lot quickly. I think the key thing to that is, again, chunking it down and seeing, well, how is this a benefit to me, and how is this a benefit to my career or my business or my work? Unfortunately, yes, as you say, due to the current situation, a lot of us have been pushed into that space, which is quite intimidating. Especially if we have a fear of learning. And I know I certainly have had that myself in the past when I went back to study, and even about going back to study myself in the future. And the key thing that I find about my fear of learning is, as I spoke in the video that I did last week, was the lack of love for myself and love for my ability to actually tap into my creative and curious side. And I think that's one of the biggest things I see, even in people that I work with. They're actually reacting to themselves and letting outside influence get into that space, which corrupts their ability to actually build the confidence to be creative. And we all have a natural ability to learn. It's an innate instinct. We all want to learn stuff. I mean, I know even in my business, I and work and in general, I would resist things in a way where I'd want to learn it myself because I'm naturally curious. So I would say, no, let me try and figure that out myself. So, as a child, you see kids, they want to know how to do stuff themselves. And I think sometimes, with the pressure and the grind and life and work and kids and relationships and everything, we kind of lose that somewhere along the way. And things just grind us down. And then we kind of lose the confidence to actually return to that space where we're naturally creative and curious, And I think at this time, that will be the key thing, is learning to actually love learning again.
Yeah.
That actually starts with cultivating the space for self-awareness, to know why you want to learn, to know how important learning is for you. And I think a good thing to ask ourselves is, or to say to ourselves, like, people will go, how will I do that? How will I learn something new? But if you actually say to yourself, when I learn something new, I will be, or my business will be. And it is that feeling of achieving, isn't it? That sense of stepping into that feeling and emotion of actually achieving something, whether it's a certificate at the end, or it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be a certificate or diploma or anything at the end. It's what you value. Don't get me wrong. Like, some people want the cert, some people want the diploma, some people just want to have gone through 7 modules on an online course. And there's no excuses now at the moment not to learn stuff for your business or for your career that are of huge benefit, because people are watching, and if they can see that you have that instinct in you and intuition to actually develop yourself at this time, it couldn't just not benefit you in any way at all. There's so much opportunity,
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I've had some clients, and to say, I don't do digital. I can't do digital, you know, and I want to go back to work. And their sense of being is comes from being in a workplace. And, you know, I'm suggesting to them, well, look, at this current moment, it is not physically possible for you to go into that workplace. So how can you create the same sense of being by connecting to your, you know, your colleagues or your clients or whatever it is. And it is by adapting to be able to learn, instead of saying straight down and blocking and say, no, I'm not doing that. It's, as you say, be curious and how will this benefit me? How can I love myself by it benefiting me? So like, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
I think like, I suppose in what you're saying there about those type of people that you're seeing in your work is that they're just ingrained by their environment and they're attached to the environment, which is the workplace. So therefore the perspective is very hard for them to reach at the moment because of, I suppose, of everything else that's going on, and the brain fog is now shown because, you know, they're probably resisting as well the fact that if they don't change and adapt, well then, you know, what have they got to lose? They've a lot more to lose if they don't, you know. And I, like, don't get me wrong, I'm very empathetic to the pressures online at the moment of like there's definitely a lot of, there's a big rush to get everything online, you know. Even the coaching and consulting industry, everybody is panicking and rushing now to get online. Okay, don't get me wrong, depending on the type of business or career, whatever you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, sometimes, and the buzzword that's around at the moment is pivot, and I know I genuinely use it a lot as well, but sometimes a business pivot isn't always the answer, but there's still learning that you can do to find other ways to adapt for your business and for your career and in your work, you know. So yeah, I genuinely am empathetic to, I think the more people feel forced, and this is a forced change for people, it's not visionary. So there's a lot of pressure and you're getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed to a point where some people will lose the ability to bounce back because they'll just snap. Okay. But it's really important for people to just turn down the volume on that. Pick one thing, just even one thing at the moment that would benefit them and their work or their business, and just start where they are with that. I mean, I have had a tendency, and I do still sometimes, to want to learn everything at once. So I'm going to this course online, or I'm reading this book, or I'm getting pulled in loads of different directions, and then that's that rubber band thing, you know, and you just go, that's it then, you know. So
and you end up in the middle of next week.
Yeah, like it's just like, and then I get into that space where I'm reacting to myself again instead of responding, and I'm putting the blocks in the way that I don't have the time to learn this. You know, I don't have the ability to learn anything from this. I don't want to learn this. And then I beat myself up then for being lazy and stuff. So I think it's important. I have certainly decided now at this moment in time, I have just picked one thing that I want to learn at the moment. For me personally, and I picked a course on Coursera, and I'm just doing one module a week. And it's genuinely just for me. And it will transition into my business and in the future goals for it. And I think and it's just 15 minutes a day. That's all. 15 minutes a day. I've picked one book because, again, you know, I'm not a great reader. And again, I would start books and put them down. So I picked one book, one chapter a day, 15 minutes in the morning before I get out of bed. It's, you know, gratitude is huge at the moment. Gratitude increases your confidence in yourself and what's going well for you, which in turn motivates you to actually develop yourself more. So again, 5 minutes in the morning before I get out of the bed, just a couple of things, you know. What am I grateful for? What's going right in my life and work at the moment? And I had actually drifted away from that for a long time, and this forced situation that we're in now has actually brought me back into that, and it's actually reined me back in from a resilience perspective, and you know, challenging myself around what am I actually resisting at the moment, and you know, why am I resisting that, you know, and if I resist it, where does it leave me in my life and work in a year's time? You know, it's that kind of letting yourself embrace the forced change, but to flow with it. without actually breaking, you know.
No, I think that's all fantastic, and I totally agree with you about the gratitude. I mean, I am the greatest proponent of gratitude journals, writing it down morning, noon and night, because then when you do have your bad days, you can go back and look at that and say, yeah, do you know what, that really brought me joy, that piece of music, that phone call, that walk in the sun, you know, so that you are reminding yourself of the good things that are happening in your life, that helps you to create the resilience bubble, you know, to help you to get to the next day and the next day and the next day. Yeah.
It actually does rein you in from reacting to yourself. So then you can actually put yourself in a more grounded position to respond to actually what is happening now. Like, and to what's happening to you as a human and as a professional, you know? And when you know what's happening to yourself and you're actually consciously aware of how your emotions are affecting your ability to learn and get up and do something about finding opportunity at the moment, that, you know, that puts you 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of some people, you know. And I don't mean that in a competitive way, but it's very, very important who you're surrounding yourself with at the moment, because there is a lot of death and grief and anger around. And I do find that, you know, if you can't have those conversations with resilience, and I have been there, and even what's going on now has certainly activated and surfaced grief in me from past experience. But if you get caught in those conversations with people over and over, you again start reacting to yourself and your environment around you. And that comes out in your business and your brand and the way you talk and your conversations, you know, with people. And, you know, when you hear yourself talking in that way, your whole energy and motivation to actually move yourself forward and build a bit of momentum for you just takes over, you know. And I would have had a slump a couple of weeks ago. And being a business owner, or, you know, being a professional, it's an emotional roller coaster anyway, at the best of times. But cultivating that self-awareness to actually go, what information are those emotions effectively giving me at this time that inform my decisions going forward, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Pauline, that was absolutely fantastic. Thanks for tuning in today. And people can contact you directly by PM on LinkedIn. And thanks a million.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks a million. Always great to talk to you. Take care.
Bye.